Hello, ladies. We are going live. Whoops, where did I go? All right, I got to grab my phone. I forgot my phone, so I can't see you. Hold, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I have to have my phone next to me so that I can see you ladies on Facebook while I am, whoa, what's going on here? While I am chit-chatting so that I can answer your questions this way as well. But we are talking about constipation today, which I know for some of you is an issue. For some of you, it's an ongoing issue. For some of you, it becomes an issue when you switch to low carb, and we're going to talk about how to fix that. And yeah, we're going to get started. If you are watching me live, just say hi in the comments so that I can see who's joining me. Hi, Joe. And we are going to dive in here. And I'm just going to pull up my notes. And whoops. Okay. All right. So I am going to do, hi, Barb. I am going to do just a little disclaimer here. So when we're talking, specifically about like sort of health issues or conditions or whatever it may be, understand that I am not your doctor. I am your nutrition coach. So I can provide nutrition and lifestyle tips. I cannot recommend supplements. I can tell you I can give you some ideas of supplements to look into, but I cannot say, hey, go and take the following supplements, because that is not within my scope of practice. That is for doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, etc. Okay, so just understand that I can give you, again, like nutrition and lifestyle tips, and that's sort of where my scope of practice ends. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about today is just like defining what constipation actually is, just to help you decide if this is something that you're struggling with. So the official definition of constipation is if you are passing fewer than 3 stools a week. That's the official definition. So fewer than 3 stools a week, and your poop is hard and it's dry and it's uncomfortable and painful and a process to go to the bathroom. That is sort of like what is considered constipation. Now, that being said, ideally, everybody in this group is pooping at least once a day, if not twice a day. Regular daily bowel movements is my hope for you. So if you are not pooping on a daily basis, then I would say keep watching, because hopefully I can give you some support on that as well. Hi, Joyce. Okay, so let's talk about causes of constipation. So number one, and this is likely not something that you're going to think of because I'm not going straight to fiber, stress. Okay, stress is a major cause of constipation. And so just understand that there is a direct link between your gut and your brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. And so when you perceive stress, when your mind is stressed, when your brain is stressed, it is literally communicating with your gut. And this in and of itself can be one of the reasons that we struggle with constipation or diarrhea, right? So I don't know if you guys, just to understand this quickly, this communication between the brain and the gut. Have you guys ever been in a race and you've gotten like butterflies and you've gotten so nervous that you've had nervous poops? I have. That's the way my gut reacts. My gut does not react with constipation. It reacts with diarrhea. But personally, I can tell you from personal experience that when my brain is stressed out, like really stressed out, like I'm about to start a race, everybody knows about it. It goes right to my digestive system. Okay, enough information about my poop. But that is one thing. So just understand stress is a big thing. There's a communication between the two. Another common cause of constipation is hypothyroidism. And I've talked about hypothyroidism in a couple of different hot topic sessions, so I'm not going to dive into it, but understand that hypothyroidism is when your thyroid, which is like your master of your metabolism, slows down. When the production of thyroid hormones slows down, everything in your metabolism slows down, including how quickly food is going through your intestinal system. And it's so basically motility, just like the movement, because the way that your food goes from your mouth all the way down and out is it's like these muscle contractions, right? These muscular contractions that push the food through the small intestine, through the large intestine, and eventually it gets evacuated. But everything slows down, including those muscle contractions. And so potentially, if you're struggling with constipation, you potentially also are struggling with hypothyroidism. Go back to some of my videos and look at the signs and symptoms of hypothyroidism. But it's like you're cold all the time, you're struggling to lose weight no matter what you're doing, although that could also be perimenopause and menopause. You have dry skin, your hair is brittle, your nails are brittle, you're tired all the time, you're potentially depressed. If you have like all of these different signs and symptoms and you're constipated, go get a thyroid test done, okay? All right, another big cause of constipation is going to be a recent change in your diet. So some of you have been doing my program for a while. Some of you are still just getting started during the first 2-3 weeks. So you're potentially making major changes to your diet. Maybe you're eating more fiber than you have in the past because you came from a standard American diet. Maybe you're eating less fiber than you were in the past because you were eating lots of like quinoa and whole grains and beans and legumes. And suddenly I'm like, sorry, you can't eat that anymore. Maybe you have suddenly increased your intake of protein, which for a lot of people can cause constipation. Or maybe if you're coming from the standard American diet, maybe you're suddenly a little bit deficient in your salt intake and therefore you're dehydrated. So all of these little changes to your nutrition can cause constipation. Another thing that can cause constipation is gut health, just general gut health. So intestinal dysbiosis is basically when there's an imbalance in your bacteria. And so what might happen is that you have more of the bad bacteria versus the good bacteria. And that can cause, whoops, I'm just going to change the view here. Hi, Kathy. Okay. So that can cause constipation as well as something called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And what that refers to is when the bacteria in your large intestine, which is where it's supposed to be, starts to kind of crawl up into your small intestine. So all of these things can cause constipation. Another thing to consider is that dieting in and of itself, reducing your intake of calories, can cause constipation, because what happens is like we need bulk. You need bulk to make that movement happen, right? So if you're just eating less food than you're used to, or when women start intermittent fasting, right? If that's where you're at in your journey inside this program and you're doing some intermittent fasting, again, that reduction in calories can certainly have an impact on your motility and it can slow everything down. I'm going to take a little pause. So I want to now just talk a little bit about low carb diets and constipation, because obviously if you're doing my program, you are on a controlled low carbohydrate diet at the beginning, controlled carbohydrate diet towards the end of the program. But basically what you need to understand is that low carb, especially keto, is often criticized as not being healthy in a sense, not that it's not healthy, but it's criticized for having a lack of fiber. And fiber, as you probably already know, is touted as a very healthy food to have in our diet for a number of different reasons. But one of those reasons is that fiber provides bulk that helps with regular bowel movements. And so when you're moving towards a lower carb approach and you're eliminating grains, beans, and potentially, you know, how many vegetables you're eating, depending on what you were doing beforehand, you may see this reduction in fiber. And this reduction in fiber takes away some of the bulk that's going through you, and that can cause constipation. Low carb diets also happen to be diuretic in the sense that they dehydrate us, right? Which is why I emphasize, especially in those first couple of weeks while your body's adjusting, how you absolutely must drink plenty of liquids. And you have to add sodium to your foods because, again, we're doing a whole foods version of low carb. We are not snacking on pepperoni bites and, you know, processed foods. And so when you're eating just real foods and you're making it from scratch, please don't be shy to add salt because your body actually needs salt. You know, I know salt has it's a little bit of a scapegoat in the health industry, but like many things, you know, oftentimes researchers are catching up, or researchers are finding things out, but popular culture doesn't catch up fast enough. And I'm here to tell you that in the health industry, there is now a movement towards sodium, not away from sodium. So you'll probably start to see more and more of that. In fact, there's an entire book called The Salt Diet. I believe it's called The Salt Diet or something, The Salt Fix or something, which is all about the fact that we need sodium and sodium is the best thing for our bodies. So again, the nutrition world likes to confuse us. But that is why inside this program, there is a major emphasis on vegetables, because if you're not making sure that you're getting at least 4 servings a day, but ideally 6, then you might start to struggle with constipation, and also making sure you're getting that water once again. Okay. So that gives us a little bit of a sense of sort of what are the causes of constipation. And then from there, when we understand what the root cause is, we can address it. Okay. So how are we going to do it? So I'm going to give you 3 things that you're probably going to be like, okay, well, this isn't big news, Haley, but I'm going to do them anyways. And then I'm going to give you exactly what I want you to do to kind of rule it out. Okay. So when it comes to constipation, now I said that it could be gut dysbiosis. It could be hypothyroidism. Sorry. It could be stress. You know, it could be the fact that you're not eating as many calories. But oftentimes, when it comes to constipation, the biggest culprits are dehydration, not enough fiber, and not enough exercise. Okay, those are the top 3 causes of constipation. So I want to go through each of them, and I want to give you some very specific ways of assessing if this is your problem, and some very specific sort of habits or actions to implement if you are struggling with constipation. Okay, so let's talk with water. Okay, water and dehydration. And I know you're probably all going to say, I drink my water, Haley. I drink my water. I drink lots of water, Haley. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to assess your current water. If you have constipation, I want you to actually assess your current water intake. And the best way that you can do that is find a jug. Like this is my daily water jug, okay? But find a jug or a couple and measure out 3 1-liter bottles of water, okay? So I want you, at the start of the day, you're gonna get out 3 bottles, okay? They all have to be gone by the end of the day. And don't like estimate, don't be like, oh yeah, this is like my 4th glass. No, literally, I want you to pour 3 1-liter bottles of water. I want you to have them on the counter, and I want you to make it a goal to go through those 3 liters, okay? 2 to 3 liters is what women need. So at least 2, but if you're constipated, maybe up it to 3, right? You could put sodium in there too. Put a little bit of salt. But you have to start by assessing, like, am I actually doing my 2 to 3 liters of water? Also, another thing that you can assess when it comes to dehydration is your urine, right? So the color of your urine is really important. It should be clear. It should not be yellow. And when I say clear, I don't mean pee into a bowl into the toilet where it happens to get diluted. I mean, pee into a little glass, right? Pee into a glass and look at the color of your pee. You will know if you're dehydrated, right? So if you pee in a glass and it's almost clear, kudos, you are no longer dehydrated. Congratulations. Okay, but that's what I want you to do. Increase your sodium intake. Increase your sodium intake. Again, these are all to help with constipation, right? Because this is going to help us to avoid dehydration, because water and sodium in the body, they're kind of like a seesaw, because your body is always wanting to make sure that you have enough sodium. Goldilocks principle, not too much, not too little, but just right. And in order to regulate how much sodium is in your bloodstream is based on your water. So your body can flush water, or it can retain water, right? So think of like people who are on the standard American diet and they're super inflamed and they're retaining water. They have too much sodium. Their body is going to hold on to water because it's trying to maintain that balance. But if it drops too low, your body is going to get rid of water, right? Again, to maintain that balance. So the sodium part is really, really important. Okay, so that is number one. Okay, the second thing is fiber. Okay, so again, the role of fiber, what it does is it literally just adds weight to your stool so that it speeds its passage through your intestines, right? So it's just about adding bulk, about adding weight, about like convincing the body to just keep going, keep pushing this thing along. Okay, so again, here, the best thing you can do is assess your current fiber intake. And women need, at a minimum, 20 to 35 grams of fiber per day. Or if you want to go by calories, you need about 11 grams per 1,000 calories. Now, in this program, most of you are probably sitting at about 1,800 calories on most days, maybe a little bit less. So I would say at a bare minimum, aim for 20 grams. Now, how can you assess this? Again, I'm a really big fan of getting the data. You've got to work. If you don't have data, then you're winging it, right? So what I would recommend doing, and I know this is a pain in the butt, and I'm not going to ask you to do this for the rest of your life, but if you're suffering with constipation, I would ask you to do it for about 3 days. And what you're going to do is you're going to track your food in an app like MyFitnessPal or Carb Manager, or the one that I like is Chronometer. And at the end of the day, you're going to look at your fiber intake. And if you're not hitting that 20, then this is something you can work on. You can work on adding more fiber to your low carbohydrate diet. If you're getting plenty of it, then that probably is not a problem for you. In fact, having too much fiber can also cause constipation. But if you aim for about 20 to 35 grams within the context of what we're doing here, that would be a great place to start. So again, what I want you to do is I want you to track your intake for 3 days. And Chronometer, I know for sure, and I think they all do it now, you can kind of look at a breakdown of what you've eaten, and you can scroll down and look at how much fiber you have. And again, 20 to 35 grams is the number that you're looking for. Now, if you fall short on how much fiber you are getting, you can get plenty of fiber in a low carb diet if you are eating whole foods, and if you are specifically trying to get more vegetables and potentially more fruit into your nutrition, into your day, right? So just to give you an example, okay, here are some of the whole food sources that are fantastic for fiber. So obviously any kind of low carb veggie, right? Any kind of low carb veggie, they're all going to be a great source of fiber. Nuts and seeds are also really good. Avocado is king. I think half an avocado is 13 grams of fiber or something like that. The green ones. Anyways, a huge amount. So avocados, like load up on avocados. Low carb fruit, in particular, raspberries and blackberries. Think of raspberries and blackberries. Think of all the little seeds that are in those fruits that you are eating. That's fiber right there. So they're an excellent source. What else is really good? Broccoli is really good. Asparagus, you know how it kind of like it kind of gets like almost like a little bit stringy if you don't have it super fresh. There's a lot of avocado, a lot of fiber in asparagus. What else is really good? Artichoke hearts are really good. But basically, if you are aiming to get lots of those foods into your diet every single day, which is why we aim for 4 to 6 fists of vegetables a day, you can hit that target. So just for example, if you have 1 avocado in your day, right, like a whole avocado, you could put a little bit in your soup, a little bit in your smoothie, a little bit with your breakfast, whatever it may be, a cup of broccoli, 10 spears of asparagus, 1 ounce of almonds, and a half a cup of raspberries, and you have 22 grams of fiber. So it can be done. It can be done, but you have to be a little bit more intentional about it if you have constipation. You have to potentially figure out, okay, well, what are some strategies specifically so that I can focus on getting more of those high fiber foods into my low carb diet, okay? Now, for those of you who are currently eliminating fruit, so during our 21-day Happy Hormones Reset, I do ask you to remove fruit. If you have constipation, permission to have raspberries or blackberries, half a cup a day. That will just help to add to your fiber intake. And I would also make sure that you're getting that avocado. Like I think avocado here can be a real game changer. One thing that you might, if you are coming to me from the standard American diet and you know, fiber is kind of new in your life, I would probably add it slowly. I probably wouldn't go from like 1 cup of vegetables to 8 cups of vegetables, because then you're going to have like fiber overload. And like I said, too much fiber all at once can also cause constipation. So you may want to go with the 4 servings and then up it to 5 and then up it to 6 and then add the raspberries. And then you'll have plenty of fiber and your body will love you. Okay, some more tips. Chia seed pudding. So chia seed puddings, you've got a couple of different chia seed puddings in your recipes. They happen to be an excellent source of fiber. And you could even add to that some psyllium husk or some ground flaxseed, both of which will help you to add more fiber to your diet. And I would literally take a tablespoon of psyllium husk or a tablespoon of flax right before you eat, add it in. I say right before because both of those are they're gelling, right? And this is how fiber works. If you've ever, you know what chia does when you add it to water? Well, flax and psyllium husk do the same thing, right? When you add them to water, they create like a gel, right? This is the gel that's going to get stuff to move, okay? So add those to your chia seed pudding. You can put artichoke hearts in your salad, or you could cook asparagus and chop it up and toss it in your salad, right? Just to get some of those like high fiber foods. You could also take a fiber supplement. Again, this is not me telling you to take it. This is me giving you information when it comes to supplements. You know, you do have to make sure that it is okay with your doctor, but I know that there are some women in the group who do take Metamucil because they struggle to get the 20 to 35 grams of fiber that they need in their diet. So if you're in Chronometer and you do your test and you can't get your 20 to 35 and you're really struggling to eat all those vegetables, then a supplement is probably the way you need to go, okay? Okay, the last one is exercise. So moving, just moving. Right? Like, I'm sure, do you guys remember when you were pregnant and towards the end, if you were constipated or when, you know, you're trying to get that baby to move, what was the doctor's recommendation? Go for a walk. If you're constipated, go for a walk. What you could start doing is like after dinner, just turn it into a routine that after dinner, you go for a nice walk. That can really, really help. Okay, so that addresses the big three, right? So water, dehydration, fiber, and exercise. Do you have any questions for me on those three before I keep going? Delicious. I've got my Zevia tonic water. It's my little treat at the end of the day because I am doing the detox with the summer transformation gals. Any other? Okay, it looks like there's no questions, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, next thing that I want to talk about is, again, like just this addressing intestinal dysbiosis. So again, this is one of the common causes of constipation, is just poor gut health. We are doing a lot already inside this program to help with gut health. We're getting rid of crappy oils. We're adding more whole foods. We're getting rid of sugar. We're getting rid of common food sensitivities. So we're already doing a lot of things to support your beautiful gut, but there are certainly things that you can continue to do. Tell us your water recipe again, along with 11. Will do, Jill. But there are definitely lots of things that you can do to further improve the health of your gut. So when it comes to gut health, there's two things to consider: probiotics and prebiotics. I just did a free one inside the main perimenopause body solutions group on resistant starch, but that is only, and that is a prebiotic. So just to explain the two, so a probiotic is exogenous bacteria. So bacteria that you are taking from the outside and putting on the inside of your body, right? Everybody knows what a probiotic is. That in and of itself, just adding a probiotic to your supplement list can be really helpful for constipation. It is one of the sort of proven strategies for handling constipation. But prebiotics are not as well known. So prebiotics are foods that feed the good bacteria in your gut. And as you can imagine, it's going to come down to fiber once again. So today I talked about resistant starch in particular as a prebiotic that helps with constipation, but has numerous other health benefits. I won't go into it here. I will post the video from there into this group so that you guys can find it. But just understand that there are also prebiotic supplements that you can take, or that I don't even know if you have to call them supplements. You can call them superfoods. But if you go to a health food store and you ask someone if they have any prebiotics, like at our health food store, there's different kinds, right? Like there's all kinds of, it's starch, right? It's fiber or starch or some kind of undigestible carbohydrate that gets down and feeds the good bacteria in your gut. And so at my health food store, it comes in like little baggies, and there's different types, like different roots that you can get. But basically, you just take a little teaspoon and you would add it to your morning smoothie. And again, that will help not only with constipation, but just with general gut health, which again is associated with constipation, right? So if your gut health is good, you should have nice regular bowel movements. If you have an unhealthy gut, you will likely have diarrhea, constipation, a mix of the two, along with other things, right? But probiotics, prebiotics, and then fermented foods. So fermented foods like sauerkraut, or when you introduce dairy, if you're on your reset, or if you're past that, you could do this, like plain kefir would be good. Cheese is actually an excellent fermented food, like not like Cracker Barrel, not Kraft, but like really good quality aged cheese that has been fermented is really, really good for you if you can tolerate dairy. Kimchi is another one, or you can ferment your own vegetables, right? Canning, you could totally do some of your own fermentation. But anything to like work on gut health is going to be helpful for constipation as well. Now, of course, when everything else fails, there are also laxatives. Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about certain supplements / laxatives that may potentially help. Again, when it comes to this, number one, I'm not telling you to take it. I'm not your doctor, but I am going to throw this little piece of advice in. Understand that when it comes to laxatives and supplements, it's a band-aid solution. You are not getting to the root cause. You are assisting. So it could be a great short-term tool if you are super uncomfortable and you just got to get stuff moving. I was going to say shit moving, and I would say no pun intended, but anyways, you know what I mean. But if you really need to get stuff moving, then supplements or stool softeners can be really helpful. Some of the best ones, so magnesium glycinate in particular, magnesium glycinate, and I'll write this down in the section, or reach out to me and I'll send it to you. But the amount that is supposed to help, and again, information only. So this is from this information is from Chris Kresser. So he is a functional medicine doctor that I follow, that I've studied under, and he recommends 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate a day, and up to 800 milligrams as a safe way to go. Not citrate, magnesium glycinate. Okay, magnesium is one of those supplements that can really help with getting stuff going. MCT oil is another one, and MCT oil has a number of fantastic benefits, which I should probably do a little hot topic session just on MCT. But basically, this is that medium chain triglyceride oil that I encourage you to start slow, because it can give you digestive upset, and then work your way up. But with MCT oil, it can literally kind of like coat your small intestine, and just like, you know, kind of like a slip and slide with a bit of an effect there. So that can help. And then, of course, there are bulking agents, right? So Metamucil or psyllium husk or something like that. And there are stool softeners. So there's one, oh gosh, I can't remember the name, but basically what it does is it's very sweet. It's certainly not ketogenic or low carb, but basically it's like this massive dose of glucose. And what happens is it sucks up water, and it adds liquid to your stool, and eventually it helps to make things pass through. So those are some examples of things that you can do. And then the only final thing that I would add to that is that, again, stress management, right? So just remember that there's like that link between the gut and the brain. And so you do want to pay attention to your overall stress load, which is a big theme. It's going to be a continuing theme throughout this whole program, but that can have a massive impact too. Okay. Now, Jill had a question. Tell us your water recipe again. The one with the lemon. Okay, let me find it for you. I'll tell you the exactly what I like to put in mine. Okay, so typically what I like to do is I like to put about 5 cups of water. Okay, 5 cups of water. I like to do about a half a cup of fresh lemon juice. So just lemons that you juice and squeeze and pour the juice in. I like to do either some liquid stevia, or you could put some erythritol or xylitol, depending on how sweet you like it. I don't mind it not being overly sweet, so I just put like a couple of squeezes or like a tablespoon of erythritol, something. And then you want to put as much salt as you can tolerate. I almost like, to me, it's more like a margarita than lemonade, because I like to put quite a bit of salt. So when I drink it, it's like I can legit taste the salt. But that would be sort of like that basic recipe there. And that'll help again with just ensuring that you are not dehydrated. Any other questions? Is that helpful? Did you get some new tips that you didn't know about? Or do you think that you are ready to really assess your water fiber intake to see if it is up to par with what you need for regular bowel movements. Hopefully that was helpful. And what time are we at? Oh, we're 25. So there we go. That wasn't too bad. So there we go. So that's it. If you have no other questions, now you have some really good tools to address. Thank you, Barb. Now you have some really cool tools to address your poop. Remember that my wish is that every woman in this group is pooping once a day. And if you are not, and if you try these and nothing is working, what I would do is go and talk to your doctor and, look into supplements, look into those stool softeners, just to maybe get things going. And then while you're doing that, really make sure that you are stepping up your game on the veggie front and start thinking about your gut health. And hopefully everything is magical and beautiful and life is good. All right, ladies, that is it for today. I will let you go now. Have a fantastic evening and happy Mother's Day. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I will see everybody very